What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another review for Monday Night Raw. This is July 10th, 1995. So, this episode starts off with about 2.5 minutes of a recap for the Sid and Diesel feud. And Psycho Sid, instead of telling us, he teases to tell us, or at least to tell Diesel, that he's going to tell him something later in the show. I didn't understand that. He tells us that he's going to tell Diesel something later on in the show. Why not just tell us now? Our first match is the Roadie versus a Jobber. I don't think Roadie has been in a match on Raw since coming to the WWF. I'm probably wrong about that, but because I'm not sure and it's been so long since his original debut, Roadie is not going to qualify for the Dominance Award. It's just whoever has the most wins on Raw since making their debut and goes undefeated. So once they win or once they lose, they're out of contention. Right now, Hunter Hearst Helmsley has that. He has the most wins since making his debut in 1995. So yeah, and because like I said, I don't know if and it only counts for Monday Night Raw. It doesn't count for pay-per-views or other show tapings. So yeah, I'll probably explain it, a couple more times over the weeks and months. Let's say by 1997. Hopefully by then, I won't have to keep repeating myself on what that means, what this dominance award means. But getting back to the match, the Roadie catches the guy into a powerbomb and picks up the win. Double J raises his hand in victory, and we get Jeff in a pre-recorded video where he returns to Buddy Lee Attractions. I don't know if you remember this, but this was a segment back when Jeff was coming into the WWF. They kicked him out last time, and this time he thinks he's a big deal again, but he's with who he says is Buddy's cousin. He runs into trouble as people keep telling him to leave before he's escorted out. And I'm actually not sure if this was a new video because then they play another video that I remember as well when he was in Vegas and he met up with some guy named Rip Taylor, and that was the exact same video. So right now I'm not even sure if that previous thing when they were at the Buddy Lee Attractions, if that was all replays of back then, or if all of this was new because he was actually going to be making his singing debut now. I don't know. And then they play the music video for Jeff Jarrett one more time. I didn't notice last week. Must have been that I wasn't paying that much attention, but you can hear that it's not Jeff Jarrett's voice singing. So I never really picked up on that last week. Like I failed to mention it in the recap. Spoiler alert, obviously that's what it's all playing out to be. Because if you're watching this, most likely you already know what happens with the whole Jeff Jarrett singing stuff. But yeah, you can tell that it's not Jeff Jarrett's voice singing unless they auto-tuned it. But yeah, can't wait for someone to call him out on it. And I bet just like me, when people heard it for the first time and only watched it once, no DVR or taped it, they might have overlooked it. They would have been like, oh, wow, Jeff Jarrett can actually sing. So I bet they're replaying it for people to pick up on the fact that it doesn't really sound like Jeff Jarrett. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here because WWF loves to run stuff into the ground. So it could have been just that they wanted to get the most of the money that they spent on this production. So they're actually going to play it every opportunity that they get. But anyways, moving on. Lex Luger and the British Bulldog struggle to form two sentences. They just say a couple of things going into their match a little bit later. Out next, we get Savio Vega again. I do not remember them pushing him as much as they have been. If you remember a guy by the name of Quang, that was actually played by Savio Vega. So he's been in the WWF before, but obviously he's just coming in as Savio recently. I remember him taking on The Undertaker a little bit after SummerSlam. He's taking on an enhancement guy, and he picks up the win with a modified crucifix type of roll up. So now Vega gets a second clean victory on Raw, so one win away from taking the Dominance Award from Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And with the amount of time that they're giving Savio Vega here, he'll probably pick up that third win next week. Next up, Vince interviews Sid, who comes out with Ted DiBiase. DiBiase assured us that Sid ain't no coward and is not afraid of Diesel. DiBiase introduces the Lumberjacks that he has bought to be representing Sid at In Your House. He bought half the roster, as most, if not all, of the heel wrestlers come out. Crowds start chanting for Diesel, and Sid tells us this. Can't really argue with that. They do a close-up of Sid and you can see the hair in his nostrils, which was pretty disgusting to look at, but short and simple promo to continue the build for their match. But then the greatest thing to happen in the WWF, on an episode of The Zone, Barry Horowitz picks up a win. Can you believe that? He picks up a win. Even with all the injuries that he piled up, he managed to overcome them like I knew he could, but I wanted him to, heal up so he can be at 100%. So even at 50%, he's better than 100% of the wrestlers in the company. He stuck it up the WWF's ass and proved to them that his talent is going to overcome all the obstacles that they put in front of him. So now that he picked up his first win, this is now going to propel him into the main event scene, move over Bret Hart. The new excellence of execution is coming. And to be honest with you, I don't know how they thought anything could follow that moment, but we get a match between Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Matt Hardy, who's just a jobber at this point. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, that is. No, I'm just kidding. Hunter hits the pedigree, which Matt sold great, and Helmsley keeps his dominance award, making his Raw record 3-0 since his debut. I spoke a little bit too soon earlier when I said that he had 3-0. He was actually 2-0 at the start of this review, but now because he picks up the win against Matt Hardy, he moves to 3-0, so he moves a little bit further away from Savio Vega. Yeah, Savio now needs two more wins to get to 4-0 before Helmsley gets to 4-0 if he wants to get the dominance award. I hope all that makes sense. If it doesn't, I don't care. I understand what I'm saying, so that's all that really matters. At the pay-per-view, we get a couple of more matches announced. Razor Ramon versus Savio Vega taking on Men on a Mission, and Bam Bam will get his revenge on Henry Godwinn after last week's attack, as they will go one-on-one at In Your House. Next up, the Elite Powers. Luger and Bulldog take on Tatanka and Henry Godwinn. Skipping to the end of the match, Tatanka goes to the top after Henry trips up the Bulldog, but Bulldog catches him and hits the power slam to get his team the win, as they take this momentum into their tag title match at In Your House. To end the show, we get footage of Jerry Lawler back at Isaac Yankem's office while he's working on a patient. Lawler asks the patient who are some of their favorite superstars, and she responds with Diesel, Razor, and of course she says Bret Hart as well, to get Jerry Lawler and Isaac Yankem's panties in a twist. And because she said that, Isaac Yankem is pissed off and starts to drill her teeth violently. Terrible, terrible stuff there. So that's how the show ends. I'm gonna give this episode a bad grade. No match on here worth going back for. And I guess the only segment slash promo worth anything was the one with DiBiase and Sid, but it wasn't anything special. This episode didn't really have much on it. All jobber matches besides the last match, but it was a tag team match that doesn't really matter. Quick episode to get through, but I'd say avoid watching it because nothing really happened. Actually, something amazing did happen on this episode. Barry Horowitz got his first win. The Mega Powers exploding, Austin 316, Kurt Angle breaking his freaking neck, Eddie Guerrero celebrating at the end of WrestleMania 20 by himself, CM Punk's Pike Bomb, Undertaker's streak ending. Nothing compares to Barry Horowitz getting his first win. I don't care what you say. I'm still going to give this a bad grade because they should have featured Barry Horowitz a little bit more. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm out. Catch you guys on the next one.